Bonjour, hi, and kwe. Welcome to everyone to tonight's Zoom session on partitioning. This organization is Parlons du Québec. Parlons du partitionnement du Québec. Let's talk about partitioning Quebec. It's a very hot topic right now, and I'm just going to go through a couple of slides to explain who we are and what we do. So I would like to start off with the land, the land acknowledgement. I would like to thank Michelle Lake for helping me with the following land acknowledgement. I acknowledge that where we are gathered today is Tiohtià:ke, Montreal, which is located on unceded indigenous lands. The Kanien'kehá:ka nations are the traditional inhabitants of this area and are the true caretakers of the land, with two communities bordering Montreal, Kanawake and Kanesatake. The land was never ceded nor surrendered. Historically, Tiohtià:ke has been recognized as the gathering place for many First Nations. It served as a natural resting place for First Nations travelers at the point of divergence. I honor, recognize, and respect these nations as the traditional stewards of the land and waters on which we are gathered on today. Yeah, cool. J'aimerais remercier Michel Lake de m'avoir aidé à rédiger la reconnaissance des terres qui suit. Je reconnais que l'endroit où nous sommes réunis aujourd'hui se trouve à Tiohtià:ke, qui est Montréal, sur des terres autochtones non cédées. La nation Kanien'kehá:ka est l'habitant traditionnel de cette région et le véritable gardien de la terre avec deux communautés limitrophes de Montréal, Kanawake et Kanesatake. La terre n'a jamais été cédée ni abandonnée. Historiquement, Tiohtià:ke a été reconnu comme un lieu de rassemblement pour de nombreuses Premières Nations. Il a servi de lieu de repos naturel pour les voyageurs des Premières Nations au point de divergence. J'honore, reconnais et respecte ces nations en tant que gardiens traditionnels des terres et des eaux sur lesquelles nous sommes rassemblés aujourd'hui. I would like to start after the land acknowledgements, my thoughts and prayers. Mes pensées et prières sont avec Mike Crawley, qui devait être le MC de ce soir. Mike Crawley was supposed to be the MC for tonight, but his son had a family emergency and is getting operated in Ottawa, so he joins us directly from the hospital. So my thoughts and prayer to you, and I hope everything goes well. J'aimerais continuer en remerciant tous les volontaires. Thank you to all the volunteers who have been helping with the think tank and all the programs and all the rallies and putting up with me and the messaging that I send you guys at 3 in the morning. Your patients are comparable to a saint. So thank you very much for everything. Without you, we would not be able to do what we are doing today. Bonjour, hi, kwe. Merci, thank you. So, parlons du Québec. Let's talk about Quebec. My name is Marc Perez. Je suis Marc Perez, l'organisateur de la coalition des penseurs indépendants. I'm the organizer of the independent thinkers. You can email me anytime at info@parlonsduquebec. Our website is Parlons du Québec. It's also let's talk about .Quebec, which leads us to the English side of the website. If you want to text me or call me, my phone number is 514-963-7685. And yes, if you send me a text message at 1 in the morning, it is very possible that I will reply to you, so be careful. Parlons du Québec est un groupe de réflexion basé à Montréal qui mène des recherches approfondies, analyse des données et développe des solutions innovantes afin d'offrir des conseils éclairés sur diverses questions politiques, économiques et sociales, afin de refléter une large éventail de points de vue. Nous nous engageons à consulter des experts dans divers domaines et à impliquer le public par le biais d'un système de vote structuré en favorisant un dialogue riche et incorporant diverses perspectives. Let's Talk About Quebec is a Montreal-based think tank conducting comprehensive research, analyzing data, and cultivating innovative solutions to offer informed advice, diverse political, economical, and social issues. To reflect a broad spectrum of insights, we commit to consulting with experts across various fields and engaging the public through a structured voting system, fostering rich dialogue and incorporating diverse perspectives. Um, so my name is Mark Perez. I am born in 1981. My job when I try to make some money and not working 80 hours on the think tank is a digital marketing and IT. I joined the task force on linguistic policy in 2021. I am a founding member and a candidate for the Canadian Party of Quebec in 2022. I am no longer a member nor participating with the party since May of 2023. I became involved with the Côte des Neiges NDG local politics, going to the monthly meetings and fighting for parking spaces, the green space. I tried to stop a green grass soccer field from becoming synthetic. So I've been very involved with the locals. I rejoined the task force as the chair of marketing and events. Between the political party and the task force, we've raised about $200,000. I've organized eight rallies, and we're planning the ninth rally for 100,000 people in Quebec City. Mon nom est Marc Perret, je suis né en 1981, je suis un enfant de la loi 101. Ma spécialité, c'est le marketing numérique et informatique quand j'ai le temps et je ne travaille pas sur le groupe de réflexion 80 heures par semaine. J'ai rejoint le comité spécial sur la politique linguistique en 2021. Je suis un membre fondateur et candidat pour le Parti canadien du Québec en 2022. Je ne suis plus candidat ni je ne fais plus partie du parti depuis mai 2023. Je me suis impliqué dans la politique locale à Côte-des-Neiges NDG. J'ai rejoint le groupe de travail, le comité spécial en tant que président du marketing et des événements. J'ai recueilli presque 200 000 dollars entre le parti politique et le comité spécial. Voilà. J'ai organisé 8 rassemblements et le 9e rassemblement à la ville de Québec avec 100 000 personnes qui s'en viennent pour le 1er juin. Nos penseurs, our thinkers. We have Dr. Arthur, who is helping us with healthcare. Scott Kilbride is helping us with immigration housing. Marie G. Pilon is helping us with immigration and family reunification. Dave Hamelin Schulenberg is helping us with transportation. Claudia Maheu and Cynthia Costigan is helping us with partitioning from Quebec. Mike Crawley is usually the MC. He helps us with security and events. We have an anonymous contributor who's helping us with education. We have another anonymous who's helping us with energy. We have another anonymous participant who's helping us with data analysis. We have Steve Taberge, who's helping us with bilingualism. And you have myself, Mark Perez, who takes care of politics, human rights, and freedoms. If you visit our website, parlons-du.quebec, let's talk about .quebec, you could sign up on the website and tell us which field you would like to help us with. From week to week, we've been growing. We are now at 1,572 weeks, 1,572 visits from since we started our website on June 1st. We went to on the 8th of April, we participated to the QCGN meeting, French in decline, ? And that's me right there. I broadcasted the meeting live on our Facebook page if anybody wants to rewatch it. Our next events, nos prochains événements, we're going to Quebec City, the 1st of June. June 8th, there's going to be English is a Crime, the anti-Bill 96 rally. And in still to be determined, there's going to be a rally with a meet and greet in the Eastern Township that is currently being organized for this summertime. Le rassemblement de 100 000 personnes à la ville de Québec, 100,000 people rally in Quebec City. Please register using the following link below. By doing that, we will know how many. It's going to help us coordinate the buses from the different regions. So we need to see how many people are signing up from the Eastern Townships, from the Pontiacs, Shawville, Saint Jerome, and stuff like that to know how many buses, how to organize security, and how to organize food. Organizations are also welcomed. There's a form. There's a section on the form that you could register as an organization, and we are going to help you fundraise for the event and for your organization. So not just for this particular event, but if you need help raising money for your nonprofit organization, um, yes, good. You can send me an email or just sign up on following this link. On June 8th, we are organizing with the BEC, the Unity Group, the Quebec anglophone community, the Task Force on Linguistic Policy, the Côte des Neiges NDG, Alex Montagano, and the Parlons du Québec, Let's Talk About Quebec. We're organizing English is a crime, l'anglais est un crime. We are going to have police officers there, right, with the words language police handing out people tickets for speaking English in Montreal and identifying all the other issues that are happening with Bill 96.
It's a protest.
It's a protest. Thank you. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're ordering car flags. And this is a thing that all the organizations are going to have. So, reach out to me and I'll help you get your own car flag for the June 31st rally. We had a 1,000 matching campaign. We've reached our objective. Stephanie C gave us $50. Matthew honored his pledge of giving 200 once we reached $100. So thank you very much for all those who donated. We continue to need money, so please e-transfer any funds that you can to info@Parlons du Québec. My cell phone number again if you need to reach out to me. We're doing another campaign. Somebody came up to me asking for to advertise that French is not in decline on the French networks. So he pledged to give $200. So any donations that are given will be matched dollar for dollar up to $200. So yeah. So this is from the OQLF. If you have any questions, please send me an email or give me a call. There is an organization that wants to give an award to people who are fighting for linguistic rights. Bottom line, if you can send an email to this address, 500 words or less, describe this person major's contribution to defending the language rights. The judging criteria for the awards are using the submitted information. Each judge will give a score between 1 and 10 according to the following criteria, which is the commitment to defending linguistic rights. So I was part of the task force and I joined it in its early days and the party and everything. Impact of our work, broader commitment to principle of peace, inclusion, and social justice. And the submissions have to be done by April 22nd, 2024. So please send those in as soon as you can. It's not really news. I forgot to say what is the structure. I get this a lot. There's 4 phases. Basically, the first phase was fundraising with the task force on Bill 96 for the court challenge and the injunction. The Let's Talk About Quebec think tank is phase number 2. Phase number 3 is a new political party if the think tank is deeming it the best way forward. And phase 4, obviously, is winning the election and bringing peace to Quebec. I'm trying to hurry up. So some of the discussions that we have in the group is should we be putting the question of the referendum on the ballot at every election? And basically, what we're trying to figure out is if there's a 51% participation rate and there's a 50% plus one, the result of the winning party has to hold a referendum during their term. So this is the one way that we've come up with to take the referendum question away from the parties. So if the Liberal Party of Quebec wins and 51% say that they want the participate, there was a participation rate of 51% and there's a 50% plus one, then the Liberals would have to hold a referendum. One thing that we're talking about is opening up the English eligibility to everyone in Quebec. So that means everyone, all the francophones, all the anglophones, everybody, they get to sign up their themselves, their kids that are over 18 and under 18. And then once registration is closed, Bill 101 reapplies where they can go from generation to generation. Should we remove income taxes for the 65 and over who are retired because cost of living continues to increase? Should the public service salary be reflective of cost plus inflation? Should we lower the income tax bracket at all the levels because of the cost of inflations? I am coming to the end of the slides, the next one. So the discussion of today is about partitioning. As it was written in the Montreal Gazette the other day, PQ referendum promises prompt renewed calls to partition Quebec. So former Canadian Party of Quebec candidate Marc Perez says he has founded a think tank that will host a discussion today on partitioning Montreal from Quebec. So it's partitioning just in general. It's not just Montreal. And we can see here clearly from everybody who answered the survey that they would want, between the yes and the maybes, it's a clear indication that people want to, for their city or region, to be part of the partitioning. So it's not just a question of Montreal. A big topic is, should Montreal be a province or not, or things like that. That's why we're all here. Some people have sent in recommendations, such as should Montreal have a 1% QST or tax, where Montreal would be recognized as English and French, and the people that work in Montreal have to be able to serve you in French. But basically, if we want to have discussions in English, there are no penalties and stuff like that. So a lot of you have given recommendations and suggestions on stuff like that. So that's what we discuss every Thursday at 8 o'clock. We have meetings and we have these kinds of discussions. So without further ado, I'd like to present Claudia Meyer, who,
Hello.
with Cynthia Costigan, have brought the issue of partition to the think tank. And I'm going to give the floor to Claudia in a few moments to explain what we've been discussing and so forth and so fifth. Everybody is going to remain muted. If you would like to speak, you're going to have to put your hand up. That's a little reaction icon on the bottom. And you click on it and then you go reaction and then you click raise your hand. So when you do that, we will ask you questions. Everybody will have 1 minute to, really focus on the question, what they want to say, whether they're for or not. And you have 1 minute to explain your position. And I have my trusty notepad where I will be taking notes about everything that's being said today. This is the first meeting of many. So with what we have today, we are going to write a summary of what was talked about today, and we will be able to vote on these issues in the future. I ask that we all remain courteous. We all are all volunteers. I will have zero tolerance for any swearing, cursing. It's instant boot. So please, we're here to discuss. Everyone is welcome, whether they're French, English, whether they're separatists or not. This is open to all. So, Claudia, the floor is yours.
Hi. I wanted to bring up the subject of partition as a solution to conserve, primarily to conserve English language rights in Quebec, because it appears that um, there seems to be no other way to control it. And in the event of a referendum for Quebec independence, that is also going to get worse. In the past, partition was often brought up as to counter the idea of being federalist or independent Quebec. But I think in the past 2 years, since Bill 96 has become part of our life, I think that we have our hands are a little bit tied about what we can do. We can go to court, we can demonstrate, we can do this or that. The reality is we don't have a majority vote, and the reality is that the Liberal Party, which has in the past spoken for us, has ceased doing that. So partition in this case would involve having those areas that want to be part of an 11th province to do that, not just the city of Montreal, and that this way bilingualism can be preserved, that our language rights could remain, our freedom to choose our children's education and so on could stay. We would have, I believe, a sizable population, probably bigger than some of Canada's other provinces. And if some people feel that partition have an impact on the economy, well, an independent Quebec is going to have an impact on our economy. And every time we have a referendum, we have instability in the market, in the financial marketplace. We have instability in the real estate market. And to those of us, not everyone could withstand these things at every, so many years. So I would like to find out from you people how you feel about it, whether to you it's something we do before an independence referendum, if we do it after. I personally prefer before, and whether it's something that you might want to consider in a serious way. And I'd like to hear what your concerns are with going ahead with that, whether is it dangerous, is it a solution, is it something that you could champion with us. And so I ask you to do that.
Perfect.
So
Thank you
we'll
very
start
much.
listening to your comments.
Yeah. I had wanted to say something. Oh, yes. Okay. So the way to go about this, okay? If you know the laws, if you know Constitution, if you have any ideas of those things, you could mention them. That's cool. But the way that I like to go about this is imagine the circumstances were perfect. Okay, so if we're going to say, well, we can't do it because Canada won't allow us, well, then I'll just use the notwithstanding clause, and that's that. So we want to hear all ideas. None of them are crazy. Okay, so feel free to speak openly. And I remind you that this is being recorded. So everything that you are saying will be recorded and played back and available to the public. Rohinson, you are the first to raise your hand, so I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Okay, you heard me?
Yes, we do.
Okay. My major question is, what's going to happen to leases, birth certificates, and items like that, which are now given a seal of approval with the provincial government? Um, it comes down to a point where if you want to get your documents in English, you have to have it translated. I'm sorry, you have to have it translated from French. Um, uh, the legal side of these things, I want to know that if there's a mechanism to transfer that to Montreal. That will cover all our ownership, our deeds, our eligibility to schools, maybe even whatever the provincial government's concerned with right now, and they have the authority to do, even your birth certificate, your death certificate. Can we physically partition those and control those under your plan? Is that a good question?
It is. It is a very good question.
Yeah, I
Go
think
ahead,
so.
Claudia.
I think that it would have to be, we would become an 11th province. If they want, their documents and their things, then they're going to have to give us our things. It's not going to be an easy negotiation. And I wouldn't be surprised if some people try to hold things hostage, but nothing stops us from setting up a clearinghouse for ourselves. If we're an 11th province, we're an 11th province.
Mm-hmm.
And
so a question for Mark, I guess, is how would you initiate this movement? How would you as a citizen or a person in law start something like this, saying that, or do you have the right to say we're going to partition? How does that work?
Okay. So first
it'll
of
be
all,
part of,
sorry,
sorry.
he was asking me. I have to say that first of all, I am not a lawyer.
Okay.
I can't on a legalese way. I'm not going to go there.
Okay.
How would I start? The first thing is having this discussion, seeing how serious people are, because what we've noticed is that we've promoted Bill 96 for the last 3 years, and we've been asking people to come and participate to our rallies, and we do get good numbers, but not good enough. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to make sure that if we're going to put our time and effort into something,
Mm-hmm.
we have to make sure that the people are really there behind us.
Mm-hmm.
And just like we're doing with the think tank, we would build an organization that would manage everything, and from structural and to seeing whoever wants to help us and stuff like that. So that's how we would start to organize that.
Okay. Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. If you have any more questions, you can come afterwards. Raise your hand again. Perfect. So it's 1 minute for the first question, 1 minute for a follow-up question. Thank you, Ro. The next person is Brian Beer.
Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much
Hi
for
there.
being here.
Thank you. So all I say is I'm not particularly for petition. I do have a different perspective. I think instead of partition, I think we need to go for joining forces with a province that's going to be receptive to bilingualism. And what closer province do we have than our neighbor, Ontario? I'm on their website right now, and it says here, you can get services in French from all ministries of the provincial government. It's your right under the French Language Services Act. This includes things like getting a driver's license or a birth certificate. To get these services in French, you'll have to go to a government office where francophones make up 10% of the population. A city must have at least 5,000 francophones. So this already is a lot more, like you can see that there's room for, their
Partnering up
francophone
with Ontario. Yes.
population. They care about the French, and I think that's the direction we should go to. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for sharing that idea. It's definitely something that we are going to be looking into. It's true that in the rest of Canada, if there's a 10% francophone or 10% that first mother tongue is French, the city is obligated to give services in French. So yes, that is definitely a great idea. Thank you very much for sharing, and we will look into that possibility. Do you have any follow-up questions?
I just want to say in Quebec it's 50%, I believe.
Yes,
which is
in
a bit
Quebec
of a
it's
high
50.
number.
Yes.
And
Yes.
unfortunately,
nothing stops us to become a New Brunswick. If we become an 11th province, we become a bilingual province. I mean, most
Yes.
Anglophones are bilingual. And in the areas that would vote for partition, a lot of Francophones will be bilingual. So, I mean, you're going to have dissenters within those areas, but we're not looking for absolutism in English. We're looking for a bilingual place to be. And I mean, a lot of us have families that are mixed in with francophones. I have francophone members in my family, and a lot of us do. But we're going to allow for freedom of choice.
Yep. All right. Stu P, you're the next in line. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Stu. How are you?
Not bad.
Good.
We can hardly hear you.
Oh, sorry. I will turn things up as much as I can. Oh, yeah. Very sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right. Are we conceding defeat to the CAQ? Are we giving up on Quebec?
Can you elaborate?
Okay, well, you're talking about if Quebec separates, we will separate from them.
Mm-hmm.
Or we might separate before Quebec separates.
Okay.
So, if I may answer that, the answer is no. No, we are not giving up on Quebec. But what we've been asking for the last 70 years, well, I'm not that old, but for those that are, they've been asking for equal rights. There was a social contract put in place where they said they would not do what they just did. They would not remove the Anglophone rights. They would. It was always something that was important. Anglophone community was important to Quebecers, to Quebec and the province of Quebec. So the big question was always was never there. And from what I've read, there were many opportunities for the Liberal Party of Quebec to do something about this. And now that they're in a minority, they're saying now they want to create an Anglophone charter of English, for argument's sakes. So we are not threatening partition. We're looking into partitioning because of what the CAQ has done to us. For sure, we're going to look at all the different routes because partitioning is very costly, and there's a lot of negotiation that goes behind it and stuff like that. And we love Quebec. Being a child of 101, I speak French very fluently, and I love Quebec for multiple reasons. And I would rather stay in Quebec, but when push comes to shove, our freedoms have to be respected. We just had from the OQLF, they just had they just showed that French is not in decline, it's not in danger. So if every time we're going to get from crisis to crisis, and we're going to go from a CAC to the PQ to the QS to, I don't know if there's another PQ and the QS. So those three are constantly threatening to go independent. At some point, we have to want normalcy. And I think based on everything that we've heard by visiting all the different regions, okay, we've heard many of them, and including in Guy Rex Rogers' movie, What We Choose to Remember, people in the regions do not care. They do not care. This is an artificial reasoning for them. They do not care because they get along perfectly well with their anglophone counterparts. In the movie, we hear at one point where a church, a Protestant church, burned down, and the Catholic Church invited the Protestants to pray in the basement. That's the kind of love that Quebec has. So everything that Legault is spewing, I don't believe it. So no, it's not our first, but it's definitely on the table. Stu, do you have any follow-up questions?
Many, but
Just you can ask one follow-up question, and then we go to the next person.
no, go to the next person. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you for your question. GSW00, if you know that's you, you could get unmuted.
Yeah, that's me. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I guess my first question would be, have you done any sort of polling to figure out if there's actual support for partition?
So far, we have 96 people who signed up to our meeting today, and that polling.
That's a self-selected group, right? People who've signed up obviously are in partition, otherwise they wouldn't have signed up. But
yeah,
you need to get a polling firm. Like, forget Leger, they're not going to do it. But if you go to Angus Reid or someone else and put a poll, get a proper poll done across Quebec to see if there's support for creating two provinces from one, because it's not so much a French English thing. It's to me it's more of a regional versus metropolitan thing. Because all the CAC is looking for is policies to keep them in power, which is the regions, where they're quite happy with the language laws and the secularism laws and everything else because they don't really care. But it's impacting Montreal and the economics and people's lives here as well as the surrounding regions.
Sorry, can you just tell me your name, please?
Sure, Grant.
Or you, Grant? Okay. So Grant. So I'm going to start off with your first question. No, we didn't do an extensive polling. In order to do a polling like you're asking for, which is a very good question and suggestion, we would need the funds for it because they are not free. And I think, okay, I'll go look at the price, but I heard speculation that it's like something like $35,000.
No, it's not.
So it's not. It is, or
no,
it is.
It is not. It's
how much?
About $5,000, and I know because about 2 years ago I was looking at doing it myself.
Okay,
and I
perfect.
couldn't get. They wouldn't touch it, and 3 other polling firms wouldn't touch it. I didn't talk to Angus Reid yet, but it's about $5,000.
Okay, so
We would
my
also
question to
have
you
to
is
formulate what the plan is before we
you have
ask
to formulate.
the question.
You have to formulate the questions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all about.
So
you want to ask the questions that will fit into what your plan is. And if you make it only about language, it's not going to work. You need to make it about more than language. You got to make it about individual rights.
All right, Grant, would you be willing to come on board and help us with that objective?
Yeah, I can contribute. I mean, I'm happy to pay. I'm happy to contribute money towards it as well as some time to help organize it.
Okay, perfect. So please either call me, send me a text, or email me at info@parlonsquebec, and we will see what needs to get done. And if we need to raise money, I just need to know how much, and I'll start a fundraising campaign. So that's actually the process of how things work here. There is no hierarchy other than me being the organizer. There is no president, vice pres, and whatnot. it's a flat level organization where everybody's on the same level. So would you have a second question?
No, I mean, I think for this to be a realistic undertaking, you need to first figure out politically if it's possible, and the only way to do that is to get a proper poll done. And then,
Okay.
and at least
So
if you only have 10%, at least you know where you're starting. If you have 30% people interested, it gives you a starting point to know how big a hill you have to climb to get this done. And if people outside, like in Eastern Quebec, are interested, because it might give them a better opportunity to have their own little country of Quebec, right? Because what's keeping them from separating? Western Quebec.
yeah. So very interesting point. Thank you. Yeah, I know that the Pontiacs. Somebody mentioned it. Chris mentioned it in the forum that Pontiac was on the verge of wanting to separate from the rest of Quebec. He came close, but they decided not to. So I look forward to having you on our team, participating to help us with this Léger polling form. I definitely think that there's a lot of ways to go about it. So come on board and we can discuss it further. The next person in line is Evan. With the bookcase behind you, I sent the command for you to unmute.
I am unmuted. Thank you so much for having me speak today. It's wonderful. This has been like kind of a, I don't want to sound like a child, but like a pipe dream for the longest time. The idea of, I mean, listen, I'm third generation Quebecois, really and truly. My great grandparents came here. And to be not acknowledged as a Quebecois at this state of the game is ridiculous, disgusting, and vile. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And the Quebecois that call themselves Quebecois are immigrants just like us, just came a lot earlier. So, I mean, it's just disgusting that they are coming across more entitled than us. I am bilingual. My kids are bilingual. My wife is francophone. She speaks English today, but that's another story altogether. But I mean, I serve the public. I'm a financial security advisor. I work with the AMF. I'm an insurance agency, and even dealing with clients or bringing on new brokers. We have issues because we have to always give them a contract in French first. Now, personally, it's fine. You know, from person to person, they say, no, it's okay, you change. I'm sorry, I'm going to continue going. And then we also have companies, it must be in French. It's a problem for business and for commerce. My question, because that's not really a question, those are facts, civil law versus common law. What are we doing? The whole Ontario idea is an idea, but that can never be. The Montreal idea was always an idea, but it hasn't happened yet. The idea of closer to the eastern Quebec, I get it. That's also a fact. And all these ideas are all around here, but it's not solidified as we can all fit under one umbrella. And the only umbrella that I see fit is we won't go to common law as much as we probably kind of should.
Okay, so hold on.
The law is the way to go, and it's Montreal to say it as Montreal.
Yeah. So hold on. So to answer your question, first of all, when we create the new province, all these things will be discussed. There's going to be like a transition committee where obviously we're going to discuss all these laws, and we're going to see how we want to implement things. And if I'm not mistaken, all laws have to be revoted in. It can't be just we copy paste kind of thing and it's accepted.
I don't really know yet, but we should at least know the most minimum, I believe, like certain minimum things to campaign on the idea of it, right? We should have the most minimum foundation, such as civil or common. That's something that I believe is something that we should vote on prior to voting. We should know what we're doing.
Well, that's why we're having this, because we're trying to figure out what people want.
Evan, sorry.
Hydro-Quebec. I think we should have shares or own it outright, because why not?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so great recommendation. Lower your hand. The next person in line is Lori. I've sent you the request to unmute. There you are.
Hi.
Hi.
so you can hear me.
Absolutely.
I'm from the Eastern Townships, and my worry is that everybody is thinking that Montreal wants to just stay within Canada, but there's so many people in the Eastern Townships that also want to stay within Canada. I mean, I absolutely love being able to speak French, speak English. Um, I recently went through my mom passing, and in the last
Mm.
2 weeks of my mom's passing, she spoke French to get help. She never did that before. I I think it's absolutely terrible, the disrespect that we're getting.
Mm.
And I think we should try to find a way to have a registry to see how many people and in which municipalities would be in favor of wanting to stay Canadian as opposed to going uh, totally French. Maybe we could do it through
So
Facebook or,
we
you
we
have
we
surveys a lot.
okay. So we could definitely do surveys, and we could definitely advertise that we're doing a survey to get people to join and participate. The first thing that I want, well, first of all, I'm sorry. The first thing that I meant to say was my condolences on the loss of your mother. That was the first thing that I wanted to mention.
Thank you.
Second of all, the question is open to everyone. It's all Quebec, and like I said, I know that a lot of people want to focus on just Montreal, but I want to give everybody that opportunity to participate. So if the Pontiacs want to also be part of this corridor, what is it called? There's a specific name to it,
Like,
Claudia?
oof.
Okay, there's a specific partition where it's like almost north of the Fleuve Saint Laurent, and it goes all the way and like Pontiac. It was like Shawville, Cowansville, and Pontiac and stuff like that. So there's somewhat of a map of that are of people that already want to participate into this. But yes, absolutely. So Lori, send us an email like that. We can clarify the question, and I'll get the survey up and running. And if you can help us, distribute it on Facebook and promote it and stuff like that, then perfect. And
Yes,
by
not a
and by
problem.
good. So, do you have a second question?
No, I don't. I just feel that it's really so sad that there's so many of us that have no problem with the bilingualism and the neighbors that we have. It doesn't matter whether we're French or English. We just all really seem to get along. And I find it's sad that we're being portrayed in Canada as somebody that's anti-Canadian, and we have such a beautiful culture that we share together. That's all I have to say. I'll leave the time to
Absolutely.
others.
Thank you. We completely agree with you, and that's why we're doing this exercise because it's really something that we feel bad that a government came in and broke the social contract, and we don't want this to happen, but we need our freedoms back. And whatever we need, whatever steps, we've started the process by having this first meeting of many meetings, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last one. So I'm hoping that we are going to continue to grow. So next person is Richard. I'm sending you the request to unmute. Hello,
Can I
Richard.
just mention, I think the corridor that you're talking about is Rupert's Land? No?
I don't know. Me or
No, you.
Lori?
I thought that you were. Okay, I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
yeah. I've read so much about different things, different parts wanting to be partitioning, but there's different lands and this and that. So everything has to be really studied. So it's unfortunate. We had we had a constitutional lawyer and another lawyer that wanted to come tonight, but there was a conflict schedule. So I look forward to sending them all these questions. So Richard, I sent the command again. I see that you're asking in the chat. If you're on your phone, if you're on a phone, you have to swipe right, and you're gonna have a big button to talk. If you're on a computer, I don't know why. As soon as I ask you to unmute, there we go. Gotcha. Awesome. Hi,
I
Richard.
had to swipe right. How are you?
Oh, very well.
So obviously I'm a big proponent of this. I love this idea, but mostly because I think this is what needs to be done so that our region and the 1 to 2 million or so people here in Quebec have a political voice again, which we just don't have and we haven't had for about 30, 40 years. But we got to do it in the same way that Legault has done it. So Legault was a separatist and it didn't work, but he's taken a different path. He's become uh, a wolf in sheep's clothing, and he got all the outcomes he wanted anyways, right?
Mm.
He got more control on every single thing that they wanted. So it's like an independent Quebec like Quebec. So I think we need to take a part out of that book. If our goal is ultimately the partition of the area, why do we want that? It's because we want to become politically relevant. So change management 101 says you don't take big steps, you do it in small steps. So I think politically, no one will touch this topic. As much as I love it, no one will touch this topic with a 20-foot pole, 100-foot pole. Even the Canadian Party of Quebec. It's been interesting to try and convince anyone to take this on as a platform. It just isn't happening. So what I think we should do is instead of pushing for the partition of Montreal or a partition of a part of Quebec, we should be pushing instead for the creation of a special economic zone where we can choose to adopt the exact same laws or modify them within our special economic zone. And the reason for that would be to increase and ensure the economic prosperity of the Montreal and surrounding regions, Eastern Townships included. I sent a little map of the regions where I think this endeavor could bear fruit. But we have to put it in that context, because if you don't, no one's going to touch this. We won't be able to. Even remember Valderrama Holdness tried to put this forward, creation of special of a special zone for Montreal, and it just wasn't getting traction. So we got to start small, and I think that's the way to go. And if you want to go down that path, I'm happy to help it, because from a business person's perspective, for you to go and say you want to partition Quebec, you become a pariah within a lot of francophone circles. You won't get a lot of business people supporting that. Whereas if you're saying I want to create a special economic zone, special advantages for the Montreal region, so that we can economically have better advantages, get rid of some elements of Bill 21, Bill 96, so that we can be competitive.
Richard,
right away, you're setting the
Richard.
Yeah, go ahead.
Richard, sorry, you have your minute is passed. Do you have a question? So
it's more. I think it's more. I think we need a change of direction on the partition.
Okay.
And my question is, how do people feel about that instead?
That's something.
Can I
Sure,
speak?
go ahead. Yep, absolutely, go.
As long as we go back and forth with this referendum independence crap, we are not going to have economic stability. And we have in the past relied on these parties to respect our rights, the minorities' rights, and they have failed us. So the only way is to try to get control over those areas that want to be away from that. And if they force our hand, partition can do that. It keeps them out of our business. We're not asking to become a separate country. We're asking to remain in Canada. We're asking to be part of the fabric. We're asking for bilingualism. We're not asking for unilingual Anglos here. We're asking for bilingualism. So of course the French are welcome here, but we have done the rest in the past, and it's bit us in the where. End of story.
I have the only thing that I could say is if there's anything that you'd like to come and help us with, obviously, Richard, we welcome you to come and elaborate the discussion. Thank you. Bob Shawbridge. I sent the command to. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep,
I'm
we could hear you.
I'm 100% with this movement, and I think the key to making it succeed is to have a mission statement in English and in French that will attract and make the francophones of Quebec also be supportive. And it would go something like this. I would not move to a country where my mother tongue language would not be acceptable to the government. I would not move to a country that was like this. So I refuse to be hijacked. Okay. Unless the notwithstanding clause is removed, or total rights for the anglophone to have access in English, like it was in the rest of Canada, then our alternative is to leave Quebec, either partition to Ontario or partition to Quebec. So basically, you have to tell you what your price is, and ultimately it's what you want. And Quebec could not succeed without Montreal. They would totally be under pressure to give into it, because we are literally being hijacked. I would not move to a country that would be like this. So why can they just take it away from them? So we need a mission statement.
Would you? Okay, so your first question, first minute is up. So my question to you is, if there's, would you be willing to come on board and write this mission statement?
Absolutely, but I'm not a reader, but I can do the best I can, and it could be
okay.
Obviously,
So
brainstorming and make it clear. But even a francophone,
yeah, well,
if it's that simple,
yeah,
like I said,
yeah, it would be
we don't want to go proud. It's
yeah.
the
So
price
sorry,
we
Bob.
want. We'll drop the partition.
Okay. Your internet connection is in and out. You're breaking up. Would you happen to have a second question, or is that it?
That's it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Bob. The next one is Alain Charbonneau. You finally found the how to raise your hand. Oh, thank you, Brian, for helping. Alain. Nope, now you're muted.
Unmute.
Yeah.
Should be okay now. You hear me now?
We could hear you now. Yes, we can hear you now.
Good. There's been a couple of suggestions that we join Ontario. I would definitely not join this group if that was the goal. Definitely not. Ontario works under British common law, and that is not what we're used to. And actually, it's not even close to what we have in the way of civil rights. What we need is to get our civil rights back. The French model that says that the individual has to bend to the needs of the larger community, in my humble opinion, is very, very false. Not only mine, but the UN Declaration of Human Rights goes against that too. I would definitely help your gentleman there who wanted to make a mission statement. Maybe you can put us together, Mark. Yes. And it would definitely, I mean, I do have some experience in this kind of stuff. So my thing would be to, yes, we want to remain in Canada, but we want a bilingual territory to live in. So that would be the leading point on for me, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
that's
thank you very much for that, Alan. Claudia, do you want to say something?
No, definitely. Bilingualism is the thing, you know, we would, so that everyone feels welcome. The only ones who might not feel welcome are the nationalistic, you know, Quebec pride type people. But I think as long as you're francophone and but you're happy to, you know, share the table with anglophones, and you're happy with sharing rights and everything else, then hey, you're one of us, you know, like we don't discriminate the way that the CAC does.
No,
So
definitely not.
I'd like
I
to
would
just
also, I would
clarify.
also see,
I just like to, sorry, Alan, just 1 second. I'd like
yeah,
to clarify on something that you said. You said if our group is going in that direction, you do not want to be part of it.
if you're going
The
into
thing,
the direction of joining Ontario,
Ontario.
yeah, but
I
hold
would
on.
definitely jump right off.
Okay,
I would actually
so
actively work against you.
yeah, so Alan, just one moment. The think tank is not a political party. We are, all we do is talk, and we will, when the website is up and running with the proper structure that we're trying to implement, what we're going to do is we're going to put all the things that we want to be done, and we're going to ask the question: do you want to join Ontario? Do you want Montreal to be independent? Do you want Montreal to have an economic zone? Do you want to build the corridor? All these questions are going to be there, and everything's going to be up to debate. It's not like I said, I'm just organizing events to bring people together, to have these discussions, these meetings, raise the money so that we can we can advertise on the web, so that we could bring people, to come to the table. So I don't know what direction we're going. The whole point of the meeting today is to hear everything that everybody has said so far, and to come up with a summary, and then have another meeting and say, well, these are what was discussed, and have a voting thing and see how we could progress forward. Maybe people will agree with you, some people won't. If the majority agrees with you, great. If that doesn't, then great. At least we know in what direction we're going into. So it's not a do or die. It's a conversation, and I want it to remain a conversation.
Yeah, it's a conversation, and I'm conversing, and I'm letting you know, and everybody that's in on this call know that my position is no to Ontario. We're not going to jump from the
Perfect.
frying pan into the fire. I mean, it's definitely, if you're aware of the legalities, the legal differences between the Napoleonic civil code that we have and the English civil code, and the English what is it called, common law, which isn't even written in the most cases. No,
Okay.
it's totally different. Totally different. Anyways,
Perfect.
I've lived in Ontario too, and I've lived there for 10 years. It's totally different. We have a lot more rights in Quebec, and we should maintain those rights. The Napoleonic Civil Code should follow us as a basis of civil code law. So that's
how I feel too. That's how I feel too. And other countries around the world have the Napoleonic Code too. Parts of Italy.
Yep.
So
all right.
That's how I feel, but it'll depend on how the group feels.
Exactly. So thank you very much, Alan, for being here and for your questions. If you have any more questions, you can always raise your hand. The next person we're going to is Stanley Neal. I sent the request for you to unmute. No, I sent it again.
Okay, now you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Stanley.
Okay,
Thank you for being here.
I'll make this short and sweet. First of all, everybody should be aware of the fact that this whole idea of separation has come up 2 or 3 times. The whole idea of partitioning has come up at least twice. In each one of these cases, with regards to separation, it was close, but it was never determined as to how far they would have to go to separate. In reality, if we had a constitution, it probably couldn't happen. Second thing, with regards to petitioning has come up at least twice. And each one of those times, all legal scholars could not agree on what our legal right was and was not. Trudeau, I believe, Pierre, not this idiot's father, told us some time ago that if Quebec can separate from Canada, then you can have separation within Quebec. Those are things that people should look at, and they should go on Google and get information. With regards to how could they separate, it's been discussed before. A lot of the discussion said that the St. Lawrence River would be the division. North of would be part of one, and south of would be Canada. What people don't remember is north of, a major portion of that is never legally become part of Quebec. So if ever that were to happen, the Indigenous people would be supporting us Canadians all the way. So I think there's a good chance of it happening. With regards to Claudia saying something about respect each other. Claudia, ever since this had started, there's one part of the people we're referring to that have never had respect for the law, the Constitution, or anything else. So keep that in mind. Bob's mission statement, I agree 100%. Before you can do anything, there's got to be a very clear mission statement so people have an idea what exactly we're looking at. I think it's possible. I don't think we've got enough people who are going to stand up and fight for it. That's my 2 cents worth.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Stanley. Claudia, is there anything that you'd like to say to that?
Well, I think that partition in the past has been very much tied to Quebec independence, but I think that there are things today that are different than in the past. We have they're trying to snuff out the Canadian the anglophone community. And in the past, even René Lévesque was saying that even anglophones were Quebecers. It's not the case anymore. And they're not waiting for a referendum to snuff out our rights. They're doing it now. So this partition thing, I mean, if Plamondon had brought it up this week, we were already ready to discuss it. You know, we were looking at it as a solution, a possible solution to protect our rights, you know, and not bow to the wind of, you know, how the rest of Quebec feels and whether they're staying in and they're staying out. You know what? Even if they just decide to stay in Canada, they still want to crush our rights. So that's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Yeah. We're Quebecers too. You know, this is our home too. And we've been here a very long time. You know, we've contributed to this province. So
no, absolutely. We're on the Montreal flag. It's a very beautiful flag where we have the Irish, the Scottish, the English, the French, and the Indigenous. So yeah. By the way, I did reach out to the Indigenous. I'm waiting for a reply from them regarding all these things. The other thing is that yes, there are no laws, but you know, if we do create a new party that could put this law in, then you know that's the path forward. So I don't believe that. What is it? Nothing is possible or everything is impossible. Whatever the expression is. I believe that everything is feasible. It's a question of understanding what we need to do in order to get to that objective. You know, and basically it's. You take a super big problem, you chop it up into smaller pieces, and then you solve each small piece to arrive to the bigger piece, which is, I believe somebody said it. I think Alain said it, or Richard. So, bottom line, I don't believe that it can't be done. Everything could be done. Canada is a corporation. Quebec is a sub corporation of Canada. That's why there's stock index. That's how we get measured. That's how we get measured. Legault is the CEO, and the people underneath him are the board, and underneath that is the executive and whatever. So you look at it that way. It's all about money. It's all about land. It's all about splitting and stuff like that. So everything is negotiable. So the next person in line is John Goodike. I sent the request for you to unmute. By the way, thank you for respecting the 1 minute thing. It's really cool that you guys are all. Everyone is really respecting their time frame and being respectful on that. That's really cool. So, John, we could hear you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Okay, I guess I have a couple of comments and there's questions thrown in there. Basically, I'm not necessarily against the idea of partition, but at the same time, you know, why are we doing it? What would it look like? Is it really feasible? Are there other options? Should Montreal become a city-state? Should we be fighting for special status? There's a whole bunch of different, I think, ways to approach it. You know, I also like the idea of a poll also, but you know, it does cost money. But I think if we drummed up enough interest, there might be a news organization that would actually do it and pay for it, because you know we're drumming up interest and they might do it
No.
anyway.
Mhm.
Uh,
Okay.
and you know, so I think that we need to set up, continue to set up a think tank and decide what our priority strategies are, and you know, which would include obviously a mission statement, and you know, we need to convince more people of our different options. Because
All right.
obviously 30 people is a good start, but it's
We're
we got a long
actually
way to go.
we were actually 51.
Good.
We were 51 people tonight, and I lost track of the numbers because I'm taking care of the IT at the same time and I'm writing notes. But okay. So the answer to your questions is that is it feasible? I just answered it. Yes, everything is feasible. Is it through lawyers? Is it through courts? Is it through an election? Is it through this or through that? There's a path forward to it. We just have to find out what it is. City, state, province, stuff like that. Yes, those are all good questions, and that's what we're definitely going to. That's exactly why we're here today. And today is one out of the many different conversations that we have. Will this be the topic every Thursday night at 8 p.m.? No. What I think we could do is once we have a committee that of people that are really dedicated to this and ready to take it over, you guys will be in charge of getting all these answers. And you can meet at several times. And if you want the access to general people, like a meeting like tonight, and we already have something scheduled on a Thursday, I'll schedule it on a Wednesday for this particular topic. I would not want to pay, I would want to do our own survey, because what's going to happen is that if you let somebody like a media company do it, we don't have access to the data, which is the most important information. And we want to make sure that through and through we're satisfied with the line of questions and the answers that we want. You know, so the media is obviously going to ask the question that they want, the way that they want, and then they're going to interpret the data the way that they want, just like Legault did with Bill 96. So, well, French on the decline is what I meant. So, yeah, so that's the answer to your several questions. Do you happen to have another question?
No, my question, it wasn't a question about a poll. What I'm saying is that if we drum up enough interest, somebody might do a poll. And obviously we don't have control over it, but basically what I was trying to say is we need to drum up more interest. And if we drum up more interest, we'll be able to raise more money, and then we can do our own polling.
Totally agree with you on that one. Good. Thank you very much. If you have any more questions, you could always raise your hand again. That'll put you in the back of the queue. So the next person we're going to is Brian Beer. I sent the request to unmute.
Thank you. So this is not a question, but it's just something I want to remind the group about, is that we're not all on the same level. So in the new petition, Quebec, I do hope that the historic anglophone status gets thrown into the fire forever. I don't like that term. I don't like the fact that there are classifications. So as you can hear, I'm an immigrant, so I do feel I have one less legal safety net that the rest of you might have. I feel lesser as a Canadian, as a Quebecer. All of you here are probably historic anglophones, but I'm not. I have no English eligibility certificate. I have no rights. I can't send my children to English school. I can't get services from the city, from the province in English. So I do feel lesser being here. That's all.
We hear that a lot, you know, that people feel like second class citizens, and that's why Claudia said we started this process a long time ago. Like I think we were like 3 weeks ago. writing a press release takes a lot of time, you know, what has to be said, the tone and everything. So when we had the press release ready over the weekend, and PSPP came out with his statement, and I was just going over the translation into French. So it happened that we released it on Monday at the same time as another party. So the term historical anglophone absolutely goes out. And the fact is that we want to make it fully bilingual, fully French, fully French and English are both equal. So therefore, you actually, I would like to make it trilingual, to tell you the truth. I'd like to have at least the indigenous language in there somewhere, because I think because of the history and stuff like that, I would definitely like to help them revive their culture. But other than that, it's no more tags, it's no more you were this, no more you were that. It's what it's always supposed to be. 6 months in, you start paying taxes to the new province or whatever we decide to do. You're allowed to vote. You're officially a citizen of the new province. You could declare yourself as the new citizen of that province, and then that's it. Their English eligibility, you don't need it. You want to send your kids to an English school, you can do it. You want to send your kids to a French school, you can do it. There's no limits. It's where we're gonna let the natural course of things go, like how Quebec was supposed to be. So the next person is Bob. Actually, I was thinking Quebec 2.0.
We could also become like the province of Montreal with the city of Montreal. I mean, there's another province that has done that.
We're gonna be new Montreal. No, yes, we're gonna be new Montreal, and Montreal will become old Montreal. Bob, anytime you're ready, buddy.
Okay,
there you go.
Got it. Okay, my message to all the people who get so excited over whether it's Ontario or whether it's on our own. What happens is, with a good mission statement, 80% of Quebec would say this is totally reasonable what we're asking for. I mean, it's a big thing, but it's totally reasonable. It's like somebody holding a gun to somebody's head, asking, and I say, "Give me an apple." Of course, you know, the 80% of Quebec, I think, would say that our mission statement is totally reasonable. But we just have to be serious about. It would be political suicide for any Quebec government to not go along with this. But we need that leverage. So I don't think it'll ever happen that we'll have to partition, because what we're asking for is extremely reasonable.
Yeah, and well, need I remind you that virtually all the political parties in Quebec have a separatist agenda, and you know, even Duhem has that as a far off goal. So and someone's voting for these people, because it sure to hell isn't the Anglophone community that is embracing it, right? But the next time around, it just might be the PQ and maybe Quebec Solidaire, but they're all separatist parties.
It's a game. We have to play our card.
Well, no. This is not a game. This is serious stuff, man. This is serious. But no, again, all these ideas are great, and we're not objecting to any of them. All we're saying is that if you have an idea that you would like to elaborate, then you have to come be part of the think tank and dedicate yourself to it, because quite frankly, you know, we each have some aspects that we're taking care of. You know, like I said, Dr. Arthur Fisher is taking care of healthcare, Bill 15 and stuff like that. Scott Kilbride is taking care of immigration and housing. So we need people's help to make things happen. So yes, we're going to do our report like we said we were going to do, and try to move this forward. Like Cynthia and Claudia are both handling this portfolio of partitioning. So they'll be taking care of it and whatever they need. They said, Mark, we need a sign up form, and these are the questions we want. They wrote it down. I created the form. I did the advertisement for it. Boom, 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 done. We needed a press release, done. So that's the way that we work. So if you come on board, we'll help you in whatever question you have, and we're after the truth as well. So, and we're not scared. I'm not scared. Joseph. My secret weapon, by the way, is Cynthia. That's why I'm not scared. She's Irish.
Joseph?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Joseph.
Yeah, I think question about the think tank, Alliance Quebec. There seems to be many objectives, and it's kind of like, I think it would make more sense to kind of like focus on just one thing and solve that one problem rather than try and solve many problems at the same time. Like, I think the main problem is our rights are being taken away, and I think if we can focus our energy on that and engage and sort of connect all these groups that are all splintered all over the place, and so we can have like kind of like a missile, missile precise target type,
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much for your question. Claudia, do you want to answer anything, or should I?
Even within a group, there's variances of opinion. Some of us members feel that we should be targeting certain, narrow our scope. Other people feel that we shouldn't narrow our scope. So I'm one of the ones who would like to narrow our scope, but I don't speak for everyone in the group. I would like to see several groups unite, but that's my view. It's not the Parlons du Quebec view. But hopefully, we can talk and gel and evolve and see where it takes us. But I am like you. I would like to focus on language rights, and it's really what differentiates us from the greater francophone community, is that we are losing a lot of things, and then when you're on the receiving end of all those restrictions, you have vested interest in taking care of them. And ideally I would like to remain in Quebec, but I've watched 2 friends in the last month leave, and I'm looking at a third one. And this is, they're not leaving because of the healthcare system. They're leaving because of the language, because the other provinces have healthcare issues too. I have 2 of them that went to Nova Scotia, and trust me, Nova Scotia has healthcare issues. But they can work in English, and they can do a lot of things in English that they can't do here. So to me, it's, I would like to stop losing friends, and the language is a big part of it. I had relatives take the 401 in 1979 and whatever, but these Bill 96 and these laws, they're egregious. They're so much worse than things were in 79. I mean, who in a million years would have ever imagined when I finished college that I would be sitting here right now saying, holy F, So that's my point of view. I mean, I'm not saying that it speaks for the whole group, but that's my point of view. And that's what I'll fight for.
Yep.
That's what I care about. I think Cynthia feels the same way.
But there's a lot of groups working on linguistic rights. We should be.
And I would personally like to see them united. I would. I know that for the protest, during the Formula One race.
Mhm.
Thanks in a large part to Cynthia. There is going to be a few groups together in that one.
Okay.
We're going to be how many groups? Six groups.
Parlons du
So, and
Québec,
that's
Unity
a big
Group.
step. That's a big
Yeah.
step. That was the first step towards reuniting all these groups, and hopefully there'll be more.
Okay.
You know,
So
so
maybe
you got to come with us. You got to come to the Formula One protest.
So maybe me and you can work. Maybe me and you can work together on getting some unification going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're pushing.
Absolutely, Joseph. I know that your main focus is linguistic rights, and it's exactly your field that you're really interested in participating in. I welcome you to come and just focus on that. If there is an election, when there will be an election, and there's going to be a party, no party is going to be doing what everybody wants. They're going to be picking certain things, and they're going to try to cater to certain people, and that's it. That's all. If the think tank says that we need to build a new party, and that party is going to use all the different policies that were created, from immigration to healthcare to all the other ones that we have, the economy, then we need that, because this is our last opportunity before everything happens. By PSPP saying there's going to be a referendum by 2030, basically what he's doing is that he's telegraphing the message so that people start saying, you know what, if that's true, I'm going to start selling my house now while it's still hot, the market is still hot, and I'm going to leave while I still can with the most money that I can. I could tell you that I know wealthy people have already started withdrawing their money from Quebec. That's going to hit the economy really, really hard. So the strategy of the think tank is to identify the issues, provide solutions. So like that, if there's ever a new party, we can hit the ground running. If you're mainly focused on linguistic rights, you are more than welcome. The other organizations are also more than welcome. They've all been invited to come and participate. So if you're willing to come on board and help that make that happen, and you want to talk about linguistic rights or things like that, you're always welcome to come and help. Claudia and Cynthia would welcome you with arms wide open, and I would welcome you with a beer.
The thing is that it seems that the linguistic issue is the core issue, the core problem.
It's the like Bill 96 is the underlying problem of everything. But people like Quebec Réunifié, where their main focus is reuniting with families and stuff like that, and immigration, they don't see that Bill 96 is hurting them. Okay? So they wouldn't understand, but they do understand that their loved one is spending 36 to 40 months away from them because of Legault wanting to bring more immigrants from French countries. So it's limiting. And you hear how Legault says that the birth rate in Quebec is not high enough and stuff like that, so it can't sustain itself. The hospitals, the investments and stuff like that, all these people, they hate the word referendum, and now they basically killed the economy. So now, again, by telegraphing there's going to be another referendum by 2030, they basically just telegraphed that new businesses are not welcome in Quebec because there's going to be great instability between 2024 and for the next 6 years. And what's going to happen is that we're going to say, F this, we're not making enough money again, and they're after us again, and we're all going to leave. And then what's going to happen is that they're going to come and they're going to take over Montreal. Bill 96, 40, 23.
101.
Well, 101. See, the thing about Bill 101 is that we've stayed and we've accepted Bill 101. There's a lot of things that were removed and put, but the general consensus is that until Bill 96 came along, after the 1995 referendum, until 1996, we had normalized our relation. Nobody was talking about linguistic issues or anything like that. It's only when Legault came on and he brought Bill 96, that's when SHIT hit the fan. So,
my opinion is we tolerated 101.
Yeah, but we tolerated
did not
because
endorse it. I never accepted it, and a lot of us never accepted it. You know, because we were historic Anglophones, it did not affect us as much.
Yep.
And
because our rights weren't taken away. We were still
exactly
kids to English school.
If when they did Bill 101, they would have said, "Well, that's it, no more of this," like Bill 96, then it would have been a complete downfall of the community from there on in.
But the funny thing about Bill 101 is the French rights.
I have another person who's
go ahead
asking, so I'm gonna just re-raise your hand afterwards, and we could continue from there.
Keep in touch, Joseph.
Okay.
Miss Donna Andrew, you finally helped lower the minimum wage here, the average of our ages.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, I hate to say this, but I don't think we finished with the attack on Bill 96 and Bill C-13. I think that we need to make a much bigger impact. We need to go to the corporations that are being punished, especially when the USA has been put on notice that no washing machines, coffee machines, et cetera, will be accepted into Quebec if they have embossed English. They're not going to do separate lines of manufacturing. They're just going to basically cut Quebec off, which means that it's going to cut everybody off. And furthermore, the whole thing started when Brent Tyler represented a whole lot of people. He had many clients that were challenging the language and the sign laws. And when it came to the Supreme Court, after 20 years of all of this nonsense, the Supreme Court got up and walked out. They refused to hear the case. That was the signal to start really pushing, because they knew the Supreme Court was not going to defend English in Quebec. That was the key. And I think we need to that's one avenue to go after, is the Supreme Court, because now they have to be French, the no translations allowed according to Bill C-13. C-13 has to be repealed. Bill 96 needs to be repealed. If both of those were repealed, we'd be able to fix Canada. But how do we do that? I don't know, other than to make it. There's been so many people that have no clue what's going on in Canada. They don't communicate.
You had 1 minute, sorry.
You know, I mean, I think we need to go after just repealing this nonsense, and we need to go international. We need to go to the International Court, because Brent Tyler was never allowed to do, he ran out of money. He never did take it to the International Court, and the Bloc Québécois lied. That Bellieu, however you pronounce his name, he stood up in Parliament and he said that the Anglophones in Quebec cannot claim minority rights in Canada because they're part of the majority. And that was decided by the International Court. That is an absolute total lie. That needs to be challenged right now. And no one's talking about it. No one's talking about this.
So, but Donna, you brought this up. So, yeah, if it's something that you would like us to start exploring, as always, you're welcome to bring this subject up, and obviously we can help with looking at making this happen and looking into it. What I would like to say,
rights back personally.
Yes?
I think
so. The thing is. So the first thing is what I wanted to mention is that the Task Force on Linguistic Policy has a lawsuit against Bill 96. Okay, and we've recently made an injunction on Bill 96, When was the last time that you've heard one of Legault talk about one of his 50 points that he wanted to implement? Because the last time I checked, we were like at 3 or 4. So since the injunction, there has not been any new points that Legault has come out. So right now, it's very possible that the injunction is putting the whole thing on hold, not Bill 96, but any new measures on hold. So that route is already winning. So removing Bill 96, C13 and stuff like that, it's definitely something that, you know, would benefit everyone. But again, in order to do it, we would need to win an election, and we would need to have the majority to be able to break these things. Just like I mentioned at the beginning. Oh, you weren't here at the beginning. I saw that. So let's say for Bill 101, where you're not allowed to choose your language of education, we offered the opportunity to all Quebecers to get their English eligibility paperwork. So even the francophones can now sign up for it, and their kids and their grandkids and stuff like that. And it would be a trickle down, like Bill 101 is doing it now.
But you know what?
So
if you're an Anglophone immigrant, you should be allowed to go to English school.
I agree.
You know, even if you're newly arrived, if you are from the US, if you are from the UK, and you want to send your kids to English school, you should be allowed to go there. Like, forget eligibility certificate. It should be, the door should be wide open.
I think it's a very interesting subject. And I think that, sorry, just 1 second, Donna. I think that we should definitely look into doing it. And I definitely welcome Joe Ortona to come and tell us how he's making the English Montreal School Board have a much higher proficiency rate in French for their students than the francophones that are learning in the regions. So definitely we need to have that conversation. And I agree that everybody should be able to go to the school that they have.
You know, if they immigrate to Toronto or to Saskatoon, there's no question of an eligibility certificate. You know, if they've immigrated here and they go there, they should have the same rights in a partitioned Quebec at least, but even overall, than if you move to Saskatoon. Like,
partition,
you know, it should be irrelevant.
A partition Quebec would definitely be open. We would definitely let them go to whatever school they would go. Like the French charter would be like almost out the window. Donna, your second question?
Well, it wasn't so much a question, it was a suggestion.
Thank you.
Waiting for political parties to make the move. This needs to be outside the political thing. And like Anthony Bourdain, if anyone remembers the Pastigate scandal, when Anthony Bourdain, that was in one of his programs, that show went around the world. And apparently the Quebec government was getting calls from people around the world, leaders saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? They embarrassed Quebec, so they backed off. That was one of the reasons they backed off. But when the Supreme Court refused to hear the case, they knew that it was game on. And so they pushed. So what we need to do is their own tactics. We need to create some media, some major splashes. We need to get funding from some of the corporations that are hurting. This needs to go worldwide, and the Americans would be really helpful because it's in international talk shows right now about how Canada has gone communist, how all of the taking away our rights, but no one's talking about the language rights. That needs to be the process because this is a total communist country.
Yeah.
Okay,
and that's what we're doing the Formula One protest, because the international community is going to be looking at Formula One, and we're going to be a group of us, different groups, not just Parlons Quebec. And last year, there was a restaurant that posted a menu only in English, I believe it was, and there was a big uproar. Well, there's going to be a big uproar this year because we're going to be there with our, you know, with our signs and we're going to hand out fines for speaking English, and like, you know, this is going to be a good the main goal is embarrassment. That's the main goal, because that's the only thing that works, you know, and potential investors. And I mean, a lot of Canadians don't realize that, you know, we get search and seizure to check if we're speaking English at work, you know, but our slogan for the Formula One race is English is a crime in Quebec. And it is, it's a crime. You get fined, you get searched, you get, you know, you might as well, I mean, they thought the War Measures Act was bad. This is just as bad, you know? So anyway, so that's the Formula One protests that we're working on. And there are a few of us that are going to be participating in it. And if you want to participate, you're welcome. Like, the more the merrier. And that's what we're doing. At least we're doing something. And you know, sadly, sometimes it's very difficult to get people to participate. They're very passive.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have the 100. That's why we're having the 100,000 people march on June 1st in Quebec City. So yeah, definitely we're going to get international recognition. Right now, there's another way that we could get international recognition is that if everybody nominates me to that linguistic award, I would definitely be putting this linguistic issue on a map at an international level. So again, there'll be an email with all the slides and everything, so like that everybody can review what's been done. So the next person to talk is Richard, and then Alan, and then after that, there's no other people. Hands up. It's 9:45, if I'm not mistaken. So I think 15 minutes left. We'll start bringing this to an end. Our first meeting to an end. Richard, I've asked you to unmute.
There we go. Unmuted.
Yes, sir.
I'll try to stay under a minute. So in short, I'd love to do some type of follow-up brainstorming session. Is that a possibility to schedule that either virtually or in person? Because to go back to the previous theme, I was saying if we could come up with a bunch of small wins that would be attainable, I think it will help to start building some momentum. I'll give you an example of some ideas. Municipalities like Dollar des Ormeaux. All our sports, I coach hockey, I coach soccer, and we have to force ourselves to be bilingual because the majority of the kids participating are English. So there are still some of these enclaves here where we could try and pass things that would be politically difficult to say no to. Things like, should Quebec separate, given what the PQ is saying? This municipality would choose to stay part of Canada. Put that into a bylaw, put that into some type of statement where we know it would be political suicide for, let's say, the mayor of that municipality to say no to that. So that's just one idea, but I think it could be useful to have this type of brainstorming sessions, come up with a list of small wins that we could then try and distribute amongst the group of interested people to go and tackle those small wins and get some traction. I'm not sure. Do you think that would be something we could set up?
Absolutely. It has to be, you know what, just send me an email. We'll set everything up. We'll discuss it and we'll see how many people are interested. We'll set a date and everything. And if we need, we'll try to do a hybrid solution where it's going to be online and on Zoom at the same time. Okay, so I can't let you have another minute. So thank you very much for your question. The next person is Alain again. And then Chris, and then closing.
Okay.
Yeah, we could hear you.
Okay, good. So, yeah, I don't know who was saying it, but I mean, Bill 96, this thing is absolutely terrible. I don't know if everybody is aware that the OQLF can walk into your place of work and confiscate all your electronic equipment, all your computers, everything, to make sure that you're working in French. And they don't need a warrant to do it. It's in the law. They can walk in and take this stuff. It's amazing. We have to organize. I am just wanted to let you guys know that I'm willing to participate. I do have strange hours. I'm a private home care provider. As a matter of fact, I was still working when this call began. So anyway, I'm home now. I'm having a scotch, and good evening, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alain. And yes, you know, like I said, and I'll repeat it again, we are here to work together, to listen. You know, somebody said, you know, instead of calling it "Let's talk about Quebec," it should have been "Listen." Let's listen to Quebecers. So that's what the think tank is. It's, you know, we're here to listen to the ideas and see how we can make things happen, because I personally like to work with data. I like to have something that backs up our actions, you know, to say, oh, I feel like the Anglophone community really wants this or wants that. It's not going to win an election. We need that data to back us up. And there's somebody said it like, oh, you know, starting a party takes a lot of work. Yeah, I know. I started a party back in 2021 too. So I know how much work is involved. I definitely have a strategy to win. And this is the think tank is phase 2 for those that weren't here for the slides. Phase 1 was helping the task force win the get the money for the lawsuit, for the Bill 96 lawsuit, and get the money for the injunction. Once that was done, I knew that the side of the court was taken care of. The next step was, let's see what we could do for Quebecers. What problems do we have in Quebec, and what are the solutions? And by doing that, we're building a grassroots movement where if we decide to build a party, well, we have the grassroots movement to support what we're doing, because everybody's getting involved. So just like I think Richard was saying that he's in Dollard and he has a lot of connections to parents and stuff like that. It's important that we have these connections so that we could help spread the word and make sure that at the next election we do everything that we can to win. And it's only by people being implicated and asked and interested that we'll be able to achieve that. So thank you very much. Chris, I sent the request for you to unmute, so whenever you want.
Can you hear me now? That's good.
We could hear you now.
Good. I'm sorry I'm late. I was trying to get on the computer, but the computer would let me on. So I'm on my old BlackBerry.
You know,
that's why I'm late, Mark.
All right.
Most of you people that are on here, I don't really realize that where we are. I'm up in Pontiac County, and the time of the last referendum, I was one of the ones who worked very, very hard for the committee to make sure we stayed in Canada. A bunch of my friends worked very hard for creating a way out. If we lost the referendum, a couple of days after that, Pontiac County was going to be out of Quebec. And they were that close. They were very, very, very close. And then the next step was to work with the Eastern Townships in Montreal, because there's a whole bunch of English people down there too. And it wasn't really because the English, because the if Quebec goes through with this Bill 96 keeps going, Quebec's going to turn into a friggin' hole. It's still going to be not going to be worthwhile living in. I got friends that just live across the river from me, and they own a business in Montreal, and they both lived across the river in Ontario, but they operate their business in Montreal with a cell phone. They just go down there once a month and say hello and bonjour to everybody, and they come back to their place in Ontario. And they don't live in Quebec because you can't work out of Quebec. You have to work out of Ontario if you want to work internationally, and they do. And it's this kind of thing that's really going to be tough on Quebec. Even in the last protest they had, well, protest, they were on strike. Both the nurses and the school teachers were on strike. Eventually, they settled for about half of what they asked for because they couldn't go anyplace else. They weren't bilingual enough to go to Ontario or Manitoba or something, so they want to stay in Quebec. But we want to stay in Quebec too. We can survive with the English we have and a little bit of French, not very much French, but a little bit. But Quebec's not going to survive. And we're really concerned about Quebec, more than we are about ourselves. It's my French friends I'm so worried about.
Yeah, we're very worried, and that's why we're going to do our best to go around, continue with the rallies, go around in the regions to meet with people, to hear their concerns, and hopefully come up with a winning solution. I got a lot of flack because I said that I supported the CAQ in 2018. I was really tired of everything that was going on. I was really hoping that they were going to focus on building a better economy for everyone. I like the concept of the CAQ where there's members of the Liberals, there's members of the Conservatives, there's the PQ and all that. So I had really hoped that with the combination of all those people, they would have been able to do something really, really different for Quebec. And I think the path forward is to do exactly what the CAQ did, and is to really to bring everybody to the table, because there's no reason that the opposition doesn't have access to the information they need to make decisions and to contest. We're all in the same boat together. So I really hope people get the invitation, that they are always welcome to the think tank. They could participate. We don't discriminate. I got a couple of text messages and calls of people to tell me to shove it. So I know that we're doing the right thing. And this is not a decision that we're taking lightly. And everybody in Quebec is welcome to participate. So with that, I'd like to conclude this evening's first meeting on partitioning.
Could I just say one more thing before you cut us off?
Yeah, because it was your last second. I'm going to go look at my PowerPoint for the last page. So go ahead while I do that.
Okay. We've been working very hard lately to try and shut down an incinerator project up here. And all the good information we found is in China. But it's in all in English.
No.
Because all the research in the world is done in English. And we're up to date on that, but there's nothing out of Quebec in any kind of research on incinerators, nothing. So we had no trouble fighting the fight because we have all the information from the Chinese. But I'm sure that the French people don't have that. That just gives you an idea of what's going on.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I hope you keep us up to date on what's going on. I definitely would like to come to the Pontiac region, and if you guys need extra bodies for picketing, let me know. I'd gladly come and support you. Is everybody seeing my last screen? Claudia, you're the only one who could actually talk.
Yeah, no, I see it. It's got all your links.
Okay, perfect. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It was a 2-hour beautiful event. It went super well. We were 51 people at the highest that I've seen. I'll probably know more once I close the session, and I'll get the stats of how many people we really were. At this moment in time, we're like 34 people. So that means a lot of you stuck around until the end. So I really want to thank you for that. You can follow us on Facebook. Our page is Parlons du Québec. There's a Facebook group that you could go to, and we have discussions in there as well. That's where I also post all the pictures and the videos from all the events that we do. So, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube. And if you can, please click on the link for the Google review and just write a 5-star review of how we're fighting for Quebec rights and stuff like that. And leave an honest report, and hopefully we will be able to you know, rank higher on Google so that we can, so people can see our website a lot higher. So that's SEO. I remind everyone that I mainly put all my money into this endeavor. Any money that I make from the business that I achieve, it goes practically all to this. And we need funds. So if anybody wants to donate or help us raise money or donations and stuff like that, please let us know. On our website, we've opened a store where you could buy a t-shirt. It's testing. So if anybody feels like being the guinea pig and letting us know if that works, basically the whole process is automated. So you choose your size, you choose what you want, you make the payment. It goes directly to the company that's handling the order, and you should be getting it on your own. So please let me know. So with that, au revoir, adieu, good night, adios.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Cynthia, do you want to say anything? You didn't say anything all night. Where are you, Cynthia? Cynthia, raise your hand. No? All right. Good evening, everyone.